At somewhat of a risk, I will give you my personal opinion, how we can affect these extremely serious issues. I do think that human beings need rules. I have a great analogy. When my kids used to watch Star Wars, the Federation seemed to be the universal group of, say, policemen who took care of, or tried to take care of, these issues when they arise in different worlds. I think we need this on a smaller scale in our own world. Certainly the UN now was an attempt at that, but it hasn't been able to function that way. NATO doesn't seem to have the finances or the ability to even perform in that one area of the world. So I do think that by using art as the basis for talking about these things, and perhaps recruiting globally, as in a way, in a small way, we're trying to do at Boston Global Forum, and with this art project, going globally to ask these opinions, and they can be given perhaps much more easily than simply writing long summaries or speeches. One other example, I was in Cuba 2 years ago, and I saw a wonderful opera. There was no sets. People were wearing fatigues, but the opera was very specifically targeting the government with small innuendos. And no one could really criticize them because it had double and triple meanings. And all arts can be performed and have many, many meanings, which is sometimes the beauty of communicating that way, particularly in a very political world. One other question was asked to be a bit more specific, how art can influence the possibility of the coming conflict between China and Japan. 2 days ago, I read a great article in the New York Times which discussed China's objective in all of this is salami slicing. Salami slicing. In other words, taking small slices of problems and just Putin is also doing this. These are two examples of two of our major powers not taking large actions, but taking slices of salami. And I think, and I saw a cartoon to that effect, which also influenced my thinking. Professor Nye talked about soft power. I do think that these two countries, whether it be coming together in an athletic contest or coming together in an art contest, could better trade opinions and possibly come up with solutions using this rather than war drums to affect a solution. I think one other example of how these things can be worked out is what's happened between China and Vietnam over their long history. I was in Vietnam last November and learned a great deal. I was working with the Fine Arts Association and was participating in a show very much like the ones that I described previously, and found that although there was a tremendous amount of abuse by the Chinese over the years, the two countries were now living more peaceably. And one example of what was done 10 years ago by another organization which I'm a member of. David Thomas is the president of the Indochina Fine Arts Association, and 11 years ago actually, they did an art contest for children, which 39,000 youngsters submitted paintings, all done in hard copy, not the internet. And one of the major banks in Vietnam supported it, and it gave a wonderful view of what these children thought about the future of Vietnam. And many of the paintings I saw, there were references, particularly in North Vietnam, to China and the influence of China. These youngsters are incredible. They are so far-seeing, and they come without being as prejudiced as when we get jaded as adults. Anyway, this is another example of using, and I love the term soft power, because art is really a part of that. One other example is the intrusion by China in the Spratly Islands in 1988, where there was incredible tension between the two countries, which is still going on. Our hope at BGF is by sponsoring this global contest, it will address things like that, which are very analogous to what's happening now between Japan and China, and hopefully not only contain the situation, but eventually solve it to the point of peaceful coexistence.
Okay, good.
One of the most exciting things about this project that we at BGF are initiating is that not only will this go out to the world and will promote hundreds or maybe a few thousand of entries, and then a show at the end which maybe hundreds and hundreds of people will see, that is nothing compared to the millions who can learn about it by the news coverage, not only the hard copy news but the internet news. This is what, as I've alluded to before, was the most exciting thing about the small show we had in Worcester for the Strassler Center. Picked up by 8 or 9 different newspapers, it reached the view of so many more people than could have read about it in a book or seen it at a gallery opening. This is really the bottom line for trying to make sustainable impact in the world.